Hello, today we are going to talk about reality. Things are either real or not real. They are true or they are false or imaginary. The opposite of reality is fantasy. Something cannot be both. It is either true or false. Do you know what a fiction book is? Fiction is something made up and not based on real life facts, even if it was made up from a real life event. Fiction is fake. It is created from someone's imagination. Something is either factual or fantasy. A fantasy is imagining things, especially things that are impossible or improbable. It is improbable and impossible that a bull would give milk. Did you notice the rooster in the beginning? Roosters are boy chickens. Roosters cannot lay eggs. You also saw a hen. Hens are girl chickens, and they can lay eggs, as you saw. These are simple facts. They are true. Only hens lay eggs. Roosters cannot. That is the way God created them, male and female. It would be a fantasy, that is, improbable and impossible to even think that a rooster could lay an egg. You also need one male and one female to make baby chicks. Two roosters cannot make baby chicks. Neither can two hens. If there were only two hens in the chicken coop or only two roosters, there would not be any baby chicks. And on a side note, I have chickens, and you still do get eggs even if there are no roosters. You just don't get any baby chicks in the eggs. So let's look at this cute kitty and silly lady. Just because the cat is wearing sunglasses, that does not make it a human being. Likewise, just because the lady is pretending to be a cat, that does not make her a cat. She can identify as one, which really means to pretend to be one, but that does not make her a cat, even if she meows or plays with a ball of yarn. And the lady cannot make kittens with the cat, even if she identifies as a cat, or the cat identifies as a person, if cats did that. The fact is, the one on the left is a cat, a felis catus, and the other is a woman, a female Homo sapien. But they can have fun pretending. The opposite of reality is fantasy. We all know that superheroes are not real. People can't fly. They can't shrink down to the size of an ant. And they cannot leap over buildings in a single bound. These boys think they can fly. They have probably watched too much TV and now think they are a superhero that can fly. Just because a child thinks he's a superhero, do you think the parents should let them jump off a 2-story roof or take them to the top of a 24-story building and let them jump out the window? Some people think if a child identifies as something other than what they are, the parents must let them do what they want, even if it means doing something that could really hurt them, like jumping off a 20-story floor building. Do you think it would be right to let a judge or a government person who doesn't even love the child or even know them make the parents let them jump? What about a child who identifies as a police officer? Even if they say they are not pretending, they really feel like they are a police officer. Should we give them a gun and a squad car? This little girl has known since she was 2 years old, or even before, that she was not a little girl, but a surgeon. When she would cut into her potato, she knew she was meant to do surgery. She was not comfortable in a child's body. In fact, she felt she was really 35 years old. Do you think we should give her a job at the hospital and give her a scalpel? We wouldn't want to be racist, and she does fit the bill because you know now that people get jobs, even in the White House, based on race, gender, and who one identifies with, even though they can't identify and define what a woman is. What do you think? Is she qualified? Would you want her operating on you? If we just let children do what they want because they think they know or feel something, do you think they are capable of making the right choices? Did you know that typically by age 2, that is when a child now recognizes the face looking back at them in the mirror is their own face? If they are just realizing that, do you think that they really understand what a boy or a girl is? They just are who they are. Just because an infant or a young child likes pretending to be a dog, does that mean it's time to get them rabies shots? As the child's brain grows, there are more connections being made, but the brain still has a long way to go before it is ready to be the captain of their ship or the GPS for their life. Ages 2 to 4 tend to engage in role playing, and they make up imaginary friends. Do you think a child's imaginary friend is real just because they tell you it is? Of course, you can play along and let them set a place at the table for him now and then, but you aren't going to buy a meal for them when you are out at a restaurant or buy them a ticket to Disney. Well, I wouldn't buy a real kid a ticket to Disney these days. And age 3 to 5, this is the golden age of pretend play. Pretend play helps support cognitive development and learning, and it helps them to learn to plan. Pretend play is just that. It is play, and it is pretend. Children 4 to 7 are learning self-care, like taking responsibility to wipe themselves after using the toilet, or maybe brush their teeth in the morning and in the evening. They are learning also to play nicely with other children and learning to count and to read and to write and to draw. The child develops primitive reasoning, which means that it is very minimal. They certainly do not understand yet the risks of cutting off body parts and what that might mean for them later. They ask many questions and want to know why things are the way that they are. Just because they ask does not mean that they are interested in making any changes. They are just curious. Kids 6 to 10 are now reflecting on their own thoughts and making independent choices, like what clothes to wear or which cereal they want to have for breakfast. They are not deciding if to bring a dog home or not, and they are not even allowed to get their ears pierced without parental consent. Around ages 7 to 11, children are more aware of other people's feelings during this stage, but the connections in their brain for abstract thinking are not developed during this stage. That is why kids have a hard time understanding the long-term repercussions for their actions. So you may think you understand the long-term consequences for hormone replacement therapy, but you really don't at these ages. From ages 9 to 11, sex hormones are increasing. There are physical growth spurts, and children become aware of their changing bodies. Most people, boys and girls alike, do not feel comfortable in their body when these changes are occurring. And just because you feel uncomfortable, that does not mean that you are in the wrong body, as if you could be, because that is just fiction. You are exactly who God created you to be, and everyone feels weird as their body is changing during this time. From 11 to 14 years old, young people become more conscious of their changing body image and their looks, and they start to be influenced by their peers. So make sure you are picking good friends during this time in your life. And remember that you are loved no matter what you look like. If you work on being kind and smiling, you will be more beautiful than any top model or movie star, especially since they are probably airbrushed and using filters. At this age, there are also wide mood swings. Imagine that. Which is why it is not a good time to make impulse decisions as the moods are swinging. They say that ages 15 to 17 are the height of identity crisis. The young person is less influenced by family and becomes more influenced by peers, which is one reason why they have an identity crisis. They're looking at everybody else rather than just getting to know themselves better. This too would not be a good time to make life-changing decisions. You aren't able to buy a gun yet, or even a beer, so why do you think you would be mature enough to make a decision, to believe a lie, and to chase a fantasy? You should wait a few more years before you want to make a decision that is foolish and a mistake that will affect you the rest of your life. From ages 11 to 19, the brain is done growing in size, but it is not done developing and maturing. The prefrontal cortex, that is the part that controls planning and prioritizing and impulse control, may not finish developing until the mid to late 20s. Impulse control. If a young person still has a problem with impulse control until possibly into their late 20s, again, they may not be in their right mind to make a life-altering decision. Because they want to feel good now, they are willing to take more risks. They still need to develop their frontal cortex, though, which controls their reasoning, which is why God gave you parents to help you get through this hard time in your life while your brain is growing and developing. And your body is doing crazy things too. And you feel all kinds of different emotions that don't always make sense. I think you are all smart enough to know if something is reality or if it is a fantasy. It is okay to play and pretend when you are young, but a healthy person does not remain in his fantasy world. When we hear things on social media and on TV from friends and even from teachers, we must ask ourselves if what they are saying is real and factual, or is it imagined and something not true? No matter how much someone feels that it's true, feelings don't determine if things are true. Facts do. I can feel the grass is purple when it is clearly green. My feelings will not change the fact that the grass is really green. Do you think this girl is experiencing reality? What is she really seeing? Does she see real clouds or just imaginary things that don't even exist in the real world? Well, they may exist in general, but not with what she's experiencing. How about this one? Look at what she's doing. She doesn't even have anything in her hands. We can see that her fictitious reality is not real, no matter if she thinks she is seeing something or actually doing something. The fact is, she is doing nothing. Whatever she is seeing is not real and it is not true. The more you live in a make-believe fantasy world, the more nothing is real. This can lead to depression and even worse things. The more you live and play in a fake world, the tougher it becomes to distinguish facts from fiction and real life from play. Escapism entertainment takes you out of reality and can quickly become a dangerous form of entertainment. If you are always shooting people when you play, you become desensitized to killing people because you tell yourself it's just a game and they are not real. When you are engrossed in a virtual world, you cut yourself off from who you really are, and you may feel not right in your body or your mind. You start to lose your ability to think for yourself, and you may wonder who you really are. You also cut yourself further off from other people, even your friends. People thought cell phones distanced people. Virtual reality and other escapism entertainment can do that in a more detrimental way. Wouldn't you rather see a real mountain and real valleys and other things in nature rather than just images of them? Wouldn't you rather go see the Eiffel Tower for real rather than just some virtual image of it? Reality is the quality of being real or true. Just like escapism entertainment takes you out of reality, so does anything that is not true and factual. A device on your head blocks out reality. You don't see the real sun setting or rising. And other people who are in that virtual world, they don't see the real you. And worse yet, that namelessness removes accountability and shame. If you are in a virtual reality, you not only miss out on the real thing, but your conscience becomes seared. Besides thinking everything is just a game, morality doesn't apply. So you soon think you can do things you never would have done in real life because they aren't real. But Jesus said, if you hate your brother, that is the same as murder. And if you look at a woman in lust, that is the same as adultery. What matters to God is what is in our hearts and our minds. It doesn't matter if we're acting on the sin in real life or just play acting it. Besides cutting you off from others, removing accountability and shame, giving a false notion and nothing being real, and leading you to believe that morality doesn't matter. Escapism entertainment, in whatever form it is, even if it is just escapism life, that all causes chaos in your real life. Don't go looking for some other reality. Live life. Live actual reality. Look at these pictures. They are real people doing real things. They're touching things. They're feeling them. Can you imagine playing tug of war in a virtual reality? You would not be able to really hold on and pull for real, would you? You would just fall back. Or can you imagine only ever driving a car in a virtual reality, not for real? What about playing baseball or soccer or going fishing? Or playing a guitar and actually holding the instrument, or riding a bike and feeling the breeze blow on your face, or feeling the water when you're surfing and the rush that you get when you're actually in the water on your board, or just hanging out with real people and real friends, or going skateboarding. I can't imagine that that's much fun in a virtual world rather than real. Or how about bowling or hanging out with your family? What about loving a pet? You don't really feel the soft fur of a virtual pet. Hugging a real dog, if you like dogs, is way better in real life. What about running through a sprinkler? That's a lot more fun in real life than in some virtual world. Escapism entertainment blocks out reality, and so does anything that is false, dishonest, distorted, fanciful, fictitious, inaccurate, phony, fake, unreal, untruthful, or imaginary. Now, of course, as we said, a child can play imaginary games. But as Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13:11, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became an adult, I set aside childish ways. Satan tried to block out reality in the garden when he told Eve that she would not die if she disobeyed God and ate the fruit. It was a lie. It was false. God created two genders. He created people male and female. He also told them to have babies and fill the earth. Now, society, on the other hand, and the world tells us that there are many genders, and you get to decide which one you are. They tell us that women can be with women and men can be with men, as God intended a man to be with a woman in marriage. We are told for this reason, that is, choosing disobedience, they exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones and committed shameless acts. So then God gave them over to a depraved mind to do what should not be done. Do you know what a depraved mind means? It means morally corrupt, perverted, or evil. These things that the world says are normal and acceptable are not normal and acceptable to the one who created normal and who determines what is acceptable or not. Living in a virtual reality or living in a fictional reality is not reality, no matter how much you say it is. God defined reality in his creation, and in reality, the only true reality is Christ. Seek to know him and the reality that he taught about the coming kingdom of God. At that time, when Jesus comes, you will get a new body, a perfect body, and one without hormonal issues. And you will never feel pain again or ever die again. You will be immortal and live forever if you choose to follow Jesus and his reality today. Look at the world around you and use your common sense. You will see God's reality in what is real in this world and what is not. Don't listen to false teachings that try to lead you astray, even if they are loud and they are repeated over and over again. You are smart enough to know that only girl chickens lay eggs and roosters cannot. And as you know, only cows give birth and make milk. Bulls do not make milk and they do not give birth. Try milking a bull. You'll find out you won't get any milk. That is the truth, it is a fact, and it is not fiction. I encourage you to seek truth in all things, no matter what they are. You want to understand the facts, And a lot of times you can find truth by going to the Bible and seeing what God has to say about it. Don't just listen to social media or what you see on TV or the movies. Seek truth where truth can be found, and that is only in the Bible. And don't try to get eggs from roosters or milk a bull.